One of the colleagues of Senator Mutula Kilonzo and Kipchumba Murkomen is Senator Ledama Kina of Narok. He tweeted yesterday, immediately he saw this. I'm seeing my two colleagues appearing for Mike Sonko, and I'm trying to figure this out. Is there a thin line between lawmakers and corruption allegations? What's your opinion on lawyers generally, and especially in such circumstances? Lawyers as legislators, and he now calls in this morning. Good morning, Senator Ledama Kina. How are you?
Good morning, Eric. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Now, of course, we saw your tweet yesterday, and this morning we are discussing the issue of seeing legislators appearing and taking brief for people who've been accused of corruption. What's your view on this?
Well, I just think it is wrong, absolutely wrong, because in the Senate, we are tasked with the role of defending counties and their governments. But when it comes to the issue of corruption, remember, under Article 192, if a matter has been investigated fully and the president decides to suspend a county government, we are the same people who are going to be forced to sit down and approve that suspension of the county government by the president. So if you have the majority leader and the whip of the party, and the whip of the party is always supposed to whip everyone, or call everybody, and tell them, guys, we have a division. If they themselves are complicit in a way, and they're defending the accused person, it puts us in a very awkward situation. The other thing is that these two individuals are the same ones who we've been together talking about the issue of corruption. I remember there was a time when Senator Sakaja brought in a statement regarding the situation in Nairobi. And my same two colleagues, you know, the problem with the internet is that it never forgets. If you go to YouTube, you will find their sentiments. Then what changed? I'm beginning to think that maybe, just a maybe, because I have a lot of respect for my colleague Mutula Kilonzo. I respect him very, very much. So I'm just thinking, maybe what he's trying to achieve by defending Sonko is to try to maintain the dignity of leaders. If you're an accused person, you should not be treated the way Sonko was treated. That's the only consolation that I have. I'm thinking.
If that was the case, maybe he would have then spoken up in a different forum as opposed to showing up in court. Because you know what that does, Senator, is that you're basically saying that I am defending the allegations that have been brought against him. If that was the case, such sentiment could have been brought up outside of the court. Do you see? I can understand where you're coming from, but such a sentiment should have been expressed somewhere else. The minute it's brought into court, you've told everybody that, because that's what a lawyer does, regardless of whatever it is being brought against the defendant. I'm supporting them, or I am defending them. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
There's also
although there's also that. Eric, proceed.
I wanted to tell you. I wanted to actually raise the issue of, so if the senator maybe is feeling that the governor was mistreated during the arrest process, there's a pending court case. Well, they've promised to. The police have promised to take him to court over mishandling police officers. Maybe that's where the senator could have gone and defended him on this particular case, not on the case of corruption, but on the case of obstructing justice.
Well, I think in that way, I think the press was reporting and the police were going to introduce new charges.
Yep.
So I don't think that would be a very good line of argument, because then the senator would argue that he thought that this was not going to be a pending case. It was going to be an amended charge sheet. So he wanted to. I'm still waiting. I'm still trying to be very hopeful on this matter.
Yeah.
But I think even the way these things are coming out, if you go back, you will find that I sit in the Public Accounts and Investment Committee, and we questioned this. We raised serious concern. I remember even going to one of the television stations and saying about 99% of all the governors will end up in jail. But we've got to separate the facts in terms of what transpired the other day versus what the ethics and anti-corruption, the DPP should be doing.
Yep.
Because I don't agree with the style. The modus of operations is not that hygiene in terms of how you treat an accused person. He's still presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Are there avenues
And
that you could raise this concern that you are actually raising this morning? Are there avenues that you could raise this within Parliament?
Absolutely. No, because there are two things. You see, Parliament is supposed to check. The reason why we have these three arms of government is so that we have a clear check and balance system. I want to take you back to the lamentation by the current Chief Justice. He said, you guys don't put a lot of pressure on us. This issue where you arrest an individual on Friday, you build so much expectations. Corruption cases are not going to be won by arrest on Fridays. You know, I mean, and you know what? I read somewhere, I think yesterday, and someone was arguing saying, really, was that necessary to, you know, to
arrest him on Friday?
Not even to arrest him on Friday.
Deploy the resources that are deployed.
Deploy all the resources that are deployed. You know, make a big hula baloo over nothing. You know, if this guy, and I think even Sonko raised that issue, and there, I agreed with him that this guy has been called severally to appear before the ESCC. Why didn't ESCC call him and then tell him come, and then when he's there, the DPP issues his press statement and said, I have authorized the
arrest of the governor.
Of the governor. Really, I mean, we've got a better way of doing this thing, and we have to respect leaders because they are elected by the people.
Senator, there's also the issue of the Constitution. Article 77 talks about state officers not being in other gainful employment as well.
Yes.
Why? Do you see this as one of those where you're contravening the Constitution?
There are two things that happens in terms of Kenya. I can tell you this. There are certain pieces of legislation that have got to be enacted so that can become effective. You know, when you look at this all hula baloo on BPI, in my argument, is that we don't really need BPI. I think we just need to go back and ask ourselves, Chapter 6 or Article 77 or various other articles in the Constitution, you know, have we implemented them? You know, so I think the issue is this: we have got to find a way in terms of ensuring, you know, a fiduciary responsibility. We have to ensure that, you know, state officers, you know, sort of like the person who goes in for an elective position is not doing so because they have money and they want to sanitize their money, but it's a person who believes that he has been created by God to serve the people. So that's my biggest problem there.
Asante sana, Senator, for joining us this morning. Thank you for your insights and your views as well.
Asante sana.
Thank you very
much. When you hear from the two senators on their reasons, please share with us those reasons as well. The public would like to know.
All right, I will.
Have a good day.